I'm excited, and I appreciate you doing this. You know, let's have a lot of fun. Let's have
It's my pleasure.
Hello, everyone. This is Seth Chandler, and welcome to the first edition of Slab Lab, where we focus on the people and the stories behind the coins. And our first guest is Jim Halperin, who really needs no introduction, but let's face it, you are the chairman and founder of Heritage.
Co-chairman.
Yeah, co-chairman, excuse me, co-founder. And it's a pleasure to be here. This is your new office. Stunning.
Thank you.
How large it is.
It's 4 acres on one floor, and we just took the last acre in the building. So we'll have 5 acres of one-story real estate. Almost everybody in the Dallas part of the company can office here if they're not working from home. Right.
Wow. Believe it or not, we've never met before, but we did meet in 1987 when I was a young numismatist at a coin show. I think it was the A&A. You know, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go show Jim Halperin this roll of silver dollars, and you were eating pizza.
Okay.
And I was so impressed you were eating pizza because you had to like get it from outside, because coin shows are notoriously known for bad food, even like back then. And you had this pizza and you were just eating and you had fun. I think you ended up buying the roll of silver dollars, but you were very kind to me. I really appreciate that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Did I offer you a piece of pizza?
No, actually, no. I think the pizza was hot. You were passing it around. Everybody else had to grab a slice, but yeah.
I guess my coworkers had first dibs on it.
Yeah, but you were just, I really appreciate it. You were really nice to me. I was 14, 15 years old, and it was just, you had a lot of nice words about what to collect, and I was working at a coin shop at the time when I was a kid, so it was just a lot of fun. So I'm very curious.
And now you own kind of an iconic coin shop.
Thank you. I don't know about iconic, but I appreciate that. We're working hard.
And we're neighbors because we have an office in San Francisco.
Yes.
Pretty near you.
So. Yeah, unfortunately, but fortunately, no. Yeah, exactly. No, I embrace it all. I think it's good.
I do too. I think
you have a beautiful office there too, as well.
Yeah, I think having more competition is the best thing for our business.
By far. By far. You have to embrace it because it's just I actually did a video about this recently. In San Francisco, there was pre-COVID 5 coin shops in San Francisco, and 2 of them had closed. One of them had been around since the late 1960s, and I don't like to see that. I think a lot of other people like to see their competition go out of business, but not me. I just think it's good.
No, we don't either. We try to do everything we can to keep our competitors in business.
My message to a lot of
prosperous.
Yeah, my message to a lot of collectors that are out there: just go visit your local coin shops, support them. I think it's important.
I agree.
In an environment like this.
I agree.
So how'd you get started? How'd you get started in coins?
Well, I was looking for a summer project. I was 16 years old.
Okay.
And I had collected stamps as a preteen for a while. And so I decided to open a stamp store in Cochituate, Massachusetts.
Okay.
I had a store available to me rent-free from a previous project, business project, a print shop that
helps
owned.
out, yeah.
And I had to pay the rent in advance because I was a minor, and so I couldn't make a valid contract at the time. So I had this leftover store, and I was designing the sign for it, and there was a little room left in the sign, and I thought I would call it Jim's Stamp and Coin Shop. Couldn't hurt to have an extra product line. And as soon as I opened, neighborhood kids would come in and ask where my coins were. And I didn't have any, and I told them I don't really know anything about coins. And so they said, well, we'll teach you.
Interesting. Huh.
And a couple of those kids I'm still in contact with today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they worked for me for free until I could afford to pay them. Didn't take that long, actually. It was really obvious to me almost right away that coins were on the rise and stamps were on the decline. Although I was running full-page ads and liens within a month of opening that store. But I really had a knack for coins, not so much stamps.
Right, I got you. And how did you like dabble in stamps before you opened up your shop, or you just kind of jumped right into it?
I kind of collected them. And, my uncle gave me his collection on consignment to sell.
Okay, cool.
And that was a good jump start. But
so you had like this
I liked
clubhouse.
the coins more, and I noticed that when I looked at the coins, even though I didn't quite know how to grade them yet, I remembered them. You know, and I remembered every coin I saw after that was the same coin. I remembered which one was better. And eventually I learned how to grade them really well and kind of developed my own system for grading. So I was consistent.
I see.
And then I could go to from one coin shop to another. There were lots of coin shops back then.
A lot more than today?
Yeah, and I would ride my bike from one to the other, buy from one, sell to the next, bring whatever I didn't sell back to the shop, and call up customers and convince them to come in and look at them.
Interesting. So it sounds like you had a clubhouse with some of your friends. You picked up on coins right away, knew that you could trade and make money with other dealers.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun for a 16,
It was.
17-year-old kid.
It was.
You know, it must have given you a lot of confidence too as well, having that kind of success.
Well, you know, I didn't have a lot of social confidence, but I had a lot of confidence in my analytical skills.
So how'd you go to the next level from there? What was the next step after having a small little coin shop?
Well, you know, business kept getting better. And then I went to college. And my first year at college, I studied a little. And I attended all the classes. But I was going into Boston in the afternoons, maybe half the days of the week. And I got to know all the coin dealers in Boston. And they were all really supportive and very nice to me and a lot of fun. And I just started liking that more than going to classes.
Yeah, right.
You know? And so at the end of my third semester, toward the end of my third semester, I decided to take a leave of absence. At least that's what I told my dad it was. You know,
sounds official.
Because he really wanted me to stay in school.
Sure.
But he was, you know, he was supportive, disappointed, but supportive. And I opened up an office right after that in Framingham. Kept the store, but had somebody else running it maybe a couple days a week for a while. And started recruiting staff.
And you're 18 years old at the time. What year is this?
This was the end of 1971.
Okay.
So yes, I just turned 19.
So you're like, this is it. This is my calling. This is what I'm going to do. You made that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Or this is what I'm going to try.
Right. Okay, gotcha.
And the timing was really good. The end of 71 was kind of the beginning of a nice little run. And I had some great employees even back then, you know, almost right away. Chris Tracy, Russ Vaughn, and very soon some other people who eventually became top coin dealers.
That's cool. Is any one person back when you were young stand out as your original mentor?
Well, I would say that Ed Leventhal, who owned JJT Party, he took me to my first away coin show. He took me to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and introduced me to all the dealers. That was really nice of him.
That's cool.
So I would put him right up there. Cool. Joe Lipson was very kind to me. Mayflower Coin Auctions was his company, and he was hilarious.
Yeah. Sounds like you're having a lot of fun. You had a lot of fun.
I was. I enjoyed every minute of it. It's
good you had some mentors too. I think that's the kind of thing that's missing.
Yeah.
In like all areas of careers and business. I think mentorships are really important. Because when I was young, I had a lot of mentors too as well.
Yeah. You know, makes a big difference.
Huge.
And also, my coworkers became my roommates.
Gotcha. Okay.
Started out sharing an apartment with Russ and Chris.
Okay.
When I was in college, one of the other people that was actually probably the first person that came in and convinced me to do coins, a guy named Gary Walls, went to the same college as me. He was a year younger than I was. And so we were, we hung out there sometimes. But once I left college, I roomed with Russ Vaughn and Chris Tracy. And we would we would go out to dinner every night after work. Then we would come home and listen to music and talk about business. And we just sort of honed our team that way.
Gotcha.
Spending all that time together.
So it's like You're having a blast. You're around all your friends. You're working hard, working like a dog.
At least I remember it that way.
Yeah.
You know, probably don't remember the problems so well,
sure.
you know.
Sure. So what was the next step from there? So you're like, you're doing it, you quit school, you got your friends, you're talking coins all the time. What's the next stage from there?
Well, just kind of grew the company, got a bank credit line. I started going to a lot of shows, maybe almost every weekend. I would always go with an empty bank account and a few coins and a checkbook.
Gotcha.
And I would write the checks, and for the first couple of days, I would, try to get every coin that I thought could be sold at a profit. Then I would spend the rest of the time selling what I could, hopefully for a profit, but if not, I would take losses.
I see.
Because I had to cover those checks. I never bounced a check in all those years. But I had to scramble.
I see. Were you making most of your money on the grading game? You'd buy a coin because back then grading was starting to evolve. It seemed like there was BU, Choice BU, Gym BU. How are you kind of making your money?
Back then, every dealer had their own grading system.
Got it. Okay.
It was not
the Wild West.
It was not like it was now.
Sure.
And very few people knew how to grade. People were not that consistent. So if you got first shot at somebody's coins, that was really good. Much better than now.
Yeah, really.
And so I would develop relationships with people by, them knowing my check would be good, come hell or high water, and not counter offering unless I had to, and just sort of being nice to people.
Yeah, that's good.
Try, as best I could. I wasn't that socially skilled, but I tried to be nice to people, and I would break the ice. I would go in and buy something maybe that wasn't such a good deal just to show, just to be collegial and try to form a relationship.
Sure. It's interesting. It seems like you had two big principles that really kind of grounded you very early on. The first thing, just what you said, you were nice to people. You tried to build relationships. And a lot of, younger people, 18, 19, 20, don't really understand that yet. And the other thing is you're really focused on your reputation. You don't want to bounce a check. A check has to clear. These basic common sense things.
You had to, basically, if you kept your word, people would accept you.
Sure.
And I knew that. I was a little abrasive.
Right.
I was cocky. I wouldn't necessarily like myself.
Really?
Back then, now.
Yeah. Were you just aggressive and you knew everything? Like,
No, I don't think so. I think I was really very shy, and I covered it up. And it came across that I was cocky. I probably wasn't really, but I was probably more like unsure of myself.
Sure, gotcha. Okay.
But that was just sort of the nature of my age and where I was in life.
I see. Yeah. New England coin galleries. So I remember as a, I attended an A&A summer seminar twice when I was 14 and 15. That's where I met Jim Stouchesteich. And I remember they would have this auction for all these old auction catalogs at the end. And back then, there was no internet. This is like the mid to late 80s. And most of what I learned was Q. David Bauer's books. Your book, NCI Grading Guide, was revolutionary. I still remember those pictures of the coins and how, you'd have the colors with a high point. That was really important. And to think back, did you introduce that book in what year?
1984.
Yeah, it's very early. That was a great book. It laid a great foundation for me just to really learn how to grade. But I remember those New England coin galleries, auction catalogs, just beautiful coins. Because you did them in a row with all the color photos and stuff. So at what point did New England coin galleries come into the picture?
New England coin galleries was what I started when I left college.
Got it, okay.
End of 1971.
1971, okay.
Yeah.
That was the original name.
That was the original name.
Got it, okay.
After Jim's Stampin' Coin
Jim Stampin' Coin, okay, gotcha.
Okay. So, and concurrently for a while.
Sure, okay.
So, and we went into the auction business right after we computerized.
What year was that?
1975.
You were really early.
Yeah.
Really early.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I was kind of a computer geek in high school. We had those terminals with the tape. And if you wrote a program and you made one mistake, you had to start over.
I just imagine Bill Gates and Paul Allen and those big things. I remember those tapes.
Yeah,
so that was you too.
That was me too.
So how did the auction business come up? You're buying and selling coins all the time. you're having some success. What planted that seed to be like, okay, I want to start an auction company as well?
You know, I don't remember exactly what I was thinking. I think it just seemed like a natural expansion, and we now had an IBM 360 mainframe, and my dad had introduced me to his supplier at IBM and found a programmer, and a bunch of us sat around and figured out exactly what we needed. I kind of designed I prioritized what we needed in order to become larger without being completely chaotic, basically.
Right.
And you know, an IBM 360, which took up a lot of space. I mean, it was big. It was.
You're doing a
on
lot
lease. Yeah.
for a kid your age. I mean, you bought an expensive computer.
Yeah,
You're
well,
starting an auction company.
At this point, I think New England Rare Coin Galleries probably had 15 employees.
Oh, really? Already? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we were already doing a lot of business.
So you just launched real quick. I mean, this is even pre-7980 coin boom. I mean, that's...
Yeah, but there was a pretty good coin boom in 1974. And made a lot of money that year. So we had funds to do this, and you know, I had a full-time bookkeeper who told me exactly how we were doing all the time.
Yeah, it's important.
And yeah, and the computer was a game changer. You know, it really allowed us to be a lot more efficient, and it was the first computer in the coin business.
Wow, that's fascinating.
You know, of course, now I have 20 times as much computing power in my pocket.
Sure. Yeah,
But
crazy.
nobody had this back then.
Yeah. It's a real game changer for you, huh?
It was. It was. I didn't have to remember everything that was in inventory anymore.
Right. Wow. So your business really grew fast.
It
Really
did.
fast, yeah.
It did.
So what's the next level after that? You know, because I'm curious about when the relationship. Did you know Steve Ivey at that time?
Oh
Did you
yeah, I
bump
met
into him?
Steve Ivey when I was, I think, either 16 or 17
Yeah. Okay.
at a coin show in Boston, and he was, you know, he was great.
Did you recognize him right? Like that kid's gonna go places? Or you're like, he's really
Oh, he
sharp?
already was. He
Yeah.
already was one of the biggest coin dealers in the country
Right.
when I was just starting.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he came over to my table and, you know, bought a few coins that he shouldn't have bought just to be nice. You know, and chatted with me for about half an hour.
Yeah.
And after that, every time I went to a coin show, I would go out to dinner with him.
Sure. So you hit it off right away.
Yeah, we did. But he was like, I mean, I think he saw something in me, but he was also, I would tell him a lot more than he would tell me.
I see. Yeah.
You know, he played things a little closer to the vest. He was more of a businessman than I was.
You saw the
And I was
wheels
more
turning,
of a-
yeah.
I was more of a numismatist. I was more focused on the coins than on the business. And he was more focused on the business than the coins.
Gotcha. It's amazing. It's the start of something big. Just all happened when you like 16, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So then when did you guys start sitting down and start talking about, hey, maybe we should join forces here?
Well, that wasn't until 1982.
Okay.
And a lot happened in between that.
Yeah, so tell me what happened in between that. I'm curious about the big bull market at 79 and 80 and
Well, I hired a business manager, a really good business manager named Charlie Lidman. He was an MBA and just really, really smart and energetic and devoted to the business. And he really helped. This was probably in '76, and a few other people that were really great. And we decided that we were going to move into Boston. And we got a great location, not that expensive, right at the corner of Devonshire and Water Street, in downtown in the financial district. We were right across the street from Fidelity. And that business, as soon as we moved in there from Framingham, that business really took off.
Really?
We got a lot of local clients that would just come in and say, "What's going on here?" And then they would, buy,
sure, yeah.
$50,000 worth of coins.
Wow. So you had people coming and selling you stuff, buying stuff. You had collectors buying coins for their collections.
Yeah, I actually hired another dealer that was really nice to me when I started out, a guy named Tom Sullivan, who had the coin shop that was a mile down the road. I used to ride my bike to his coin shop at least once a week.
Right.
But either buy from him or sell to him or both. And he would teach me stuff.
That's cool.
and I wound up hiring him to run the store that we had, the store level part that we had in Boston. And he did a great job with that. And we had a great reputation locally. You know, we got a lot of press, and people would come in and, you know, spend money or sell us things. And, you know, we tried to always be fair.
Must have had a lot of pride with the new shop. I mean, you put a lot of effort into it, signed a big fancy lease right in the middle of town. You know, it's like, because I went through that recently about a year ago with my shop, and it's like I made a decision. There was a fork in the road of like, am I really going to do this? You know, and what really convinced me was there's a lot more coin collectors out there than I think what people think. You know, my 3 kids go to 3 different schools, and, you know, you casually talk to other parents. What do you do? I have a little coin shop, and I've always said half of everyone, their face lights up. They tell a story how they collected coins, their dad collected coins, they have a group of coins. It's amazing how many people collect coins. So I see when you moved into this new place, you're like, okay, we're gonna make this phenomenal. It's a big step, you know? Must have been a lot of fun.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. It was exciting.
Yeah.
You know, and by this point, I was living in Newton. I bought a house in Newton, and my friend Mark Emery, now my best friend, you know, he rented the upstairs from me. And so we lived together in this house for 2 or 3 years before he moved to Europe. And he got married to a German girl. Wanted to move to Germany. And I said, sure, just see if you can do some business there. And boy, did he.
Really? Like what type of things?
He started our whole European operation himself from scratch.
So he just found like bags of St. Gallons and 20 libs, things
all
like
that
that
stuff, and then hired other people to do it with him.
Wow, that must have been, it's like the Wild West. That must have been so fun. Like,
It
what were some of the
was,
exciting
it
deals?
was.
What were some of the exciting things he found?
Oh, I mean, at one point, he bought, I don't remember how many rolls of 1910 D5 Indians, BU. I think it was maybe 100 or 200 coins.
So when you got those back, you're just like, oh my God, this stuff is in Europe. There's more. You know?
Oh, that was toward the end, actually, of when we were in Boston. But no, he bought a lot of deals like right away, and he was living there, so he had a big edge over everybody else. He spoke all the languages. Mark speaks. At the time, he spoke 7 languages. Now he speaks 9.
It's a lot. Yeah, that'll uncover a lot of coin deals, I imagine. Throughout Europe.
So that was a big part of our business. The auctions were doing okay. We were, you know, not up to the same level of Stax and Superior and Bowers and, well, back then Bowers and Ruddy and then Bowers and Morena. We were not at that level at all, but we were making money at it.
Yeah, that must have been so intimidating. You have Stax, you have Bowers, you have all these big firms that you grew up with that have a 50-year track record.
Right. And they would get the really great deals, but we would get enough. And it was a good convenience, and they were popular in Boston. You know, in Boston, we were probably, I don't know if Mayflower was still running auctions, but they didn't run very many of them at that point. And so we were pretty much the only game in town because we had 3 or 4 a year. And we met a lot of customers that way, and the dealers really liked us having an auction there because they could consign their material and come to the auction, and didn't cost them a lot to do that. And so it was an okay business. It was just frustrating that we weren't at the top tier.
Right. But that's what drove you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, things are really coming together. The business seems to be growing. You're having fun. You know, you're buying stuff out of Europe. You know, you got the new shop. The auction company's pumping. And is this kind of leading up to 7980?
Yes.
Okay. So that's where it gets crazy. Yeah. I want to hear all about that.